What is your, I guess, expectation for Dragon? Do you kind of have a thought he's going to be this way, he's going to be that way? Is there anything maybe that's not commonly said that might be, something to expect with him? Kind of, because I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to is when he arrives.
Yo, Dragon is my main sauce. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, like from the beginning, my very first videos. Well, the first TikTok was about Luffy. I still want that power to happen. The second one was Garp dying potentially based off of a cover analysis, whatever. And then the third was Dragon Garp, just
Yeah.
over and over again, leading into my Elemental Haki video, which basically has been a thought that I've had ever since I was like a kid. That Dragon does not have a devil fruit. And it, especially now in hindsight, it's like it just makes sense because Shanks no devil fruit, Garp no devil fruit, Mihawk no devil fruit.
Yeah.
Like, so these characters that we've saved that are at the top of their respective worlds are all devil fruitless. And so Haki is like it just makes so much more sense to make the bread and butter like be Haki, especially right now after we got the Onigashima thing. So I think that in terms of going back to what I was saying, the narrative focus, right? If you go watch my Shanks video that I just posted, and then the Garp one, it paints out a narrative focus that like these characters have this kind of resolve that they are fighting an enemy that isn't tangible. Their enemy is like the future. The enemy is like the boogeyman of the future. We don't know Shanks's enemy. We don't necessarily like Garp's enemy is like anybody who essentially threatens like family, right? Like he'll stand up anytime that happens. And so in that regard, you look at characters who have this kind of resolve that is just super foundational, right? In Shanks's case, he literally in the story basically said his enemy is the future. In Garp's case, he like almost word for word told us that like family is like the most important thing, and it's like family, future, that's a very foundational subject. And so when it comes to Dragon, the foundational thing that we all have to agree to, especially at this point, is freedom, right? Like and so if his Haki, if his resolve is backed by the ideals of freedom, then he is going to have probably the most absurd levels of Haki. And I was saying on the King of Lightning video that I even got him to acknowledge that Dragon might end up being stronger than Shanks and Garp. Well, Garp is easily makes sense because Dragon is in the prime, but with the Dragon note is like he is the only character in the entire series who has actually made his own world that is running against the world. When you look at Kaido, when you look at Big Mom, when you look at even Whitebeard, they all made their own empires, their own worlds that worked in tandem with the world government. They worked next to, around, acknowledging their existence. Dragon is the only man who said like, yo, I'm going to create an org that we're coup d'etat-ing everything. And that is bar none one of the hard, like the last saga is doing that, right? So if this guy has been doing this his entire life and Luffy is only now doing it, then that should tell everybody that Dragon is going to be insane. Essentially, it's like everything that's setting up right now. Like if you think, we should ask you, since you first saw a kid dying, like Garp possibly leaving the story, it's like that's one way to set up a Dragon meltdown, right? Not a meltdown, but like you mess with Garp, you're probably getting the Dragon.
Family has there's like such an overlap to where Luffy being a pirate, and then you have Garp being in the Marines, and you have Dragon being his own thing, and it's like you all have differing kind of perspectives on life, and you're going on your own path, which may directly be against what I believe in, but then it's like family that's like written underneath. And so I can't imagine like if something were to happen to Garp, that there would be a reaction from Dragon, despite the fact that they're in totally different opposite sides. I just find that'd be really fascinating to see that. And yeah, I again, if I'm just waiting to know what is that one pivotal moment where Dragon's going to make that move, and that definitely would be that. And that's the thing I'm looking forward to is like, what is going to be that big moment? Because it's going to be huge.
You were asking the big moment earlier. Garp had the sense of justice. He operated in a certain way, and then he held on to that at Marineford, and then he lost Ace. And I feel like he learned his lesson here. He said, like, you know what? I don't care if it's a Yonko. I'm taking him out for Kobe, right? There's an ideal world, and then there's a reality, and like you don't have to betray your morals to enact like to adjust to reality. And I think Dragon has already shown that, right? Because originally he was a pacifist, then Ohara happened, he changed, and then we see something else where it's like Dragon doesn't ever interact. He doesn't ever interact. And Ivankov kind of tells us like a few lines saying that, and I think Ivankov, when they said this, it was kind of a way to overlay revolutionary ideology, which was that instead of giving people power, and it's better to empower them and let them take their justice into their own hands. That's kind of what Ivankov told us. And so we do that, we go through that, and then enter Sabo. Sabo is extremely powerful, Flame Emperor, and he's being proclaimed a hero, and he's getting things moving. He's sparking the agenda, the revolution. And there you see like a dichotomy of like, you know, Dragon versus Sabo, and they're both doing the same thing just in different ways. And you almost got to ask yourself is like, I think you can understand that Sabo's probably not doing it wholly correctly. Why? Because he's younger, he's naive about the powers of the world. Clearly, as he probably saw when Lucy got deleted, he's like, yeah, I got to be more careful. And then on the flip side, we see Dragon, who's almost like overly cautious and kind of like planning. And it's like at a certain point, you have to act, right? And it's like that acting point is probably going to come when either Garp or Sabo, their lives are threatened and something like that. There needs to be something that Dragon realizes, like, I can't wait anymore. Like, you know, we were talking a little bit off stream about being a perfectionist, and it's like you can't wait for perfection, right? No. Sometimes you just gotta go, and then the things fall into place, and that's where Luffy comes in. Luffy's like, I have a plan. That did not happen, but it's fine because I'm Luffy and I got my crew and they're gonna back me up. And that, you know, at the end of the day, that's a realistic view of the world. You can't predict everything, but everybody tries to do that in the One Piece world. Even like Blackbeard tries to do that too. And I think that's gonna be where he falls. I think Dragon, and then you need that like spontaneity that Luffy brings. Luffy's that chaos when it's like it's not necessarily blind spontaneity. He amassed like friends that he can rely on. There's so many values behind what Luffy's done that makes what he does make sense, and ultimately comes down to him being able to convert anybody into allies, right? So like that's immensely helpful. Like when you need help, some random person who you interacted for like a panel opens up the gates of justice for you, and they're like, go Luffy, my friend. And then we get an amazing character named Bon Clay, right? Like, he interacted more with him, but that's essentially that character, right? It's like you interact with people as if they're friends, family, whatever, and you would be surprised how much they give back to you, no matter, like, just randomly, just for being a good person, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where it comes to. Blackbeard isn't a good person, so he's not going to get that. But Dragon, Garp, if Garp dies, the whole world is coming. Like,